Okay, here's some original content I've not seen posted on any other van life channel. When I first got this van, I put about a tank of gas through it, and with the factory conversion, it was getting about 14 miles to a gallon. I then completely gutted the van, so at that time it was at the lowest weight the van would possibly be. I was getting around 16 miles to a gallon. Then, after I did the van conversion and added all that weight back in, the gas mileage actually dropped down to 10 miles to a gallon. Now, one thing I want to tell you that during all three of those tests, I was using the recommended tire air pressure that is on the van. On every vehicle's got one. There's a label. Mine's on the door jamb here. I'm going to try to get you a shot of it. So all American manufactured vehicles, somewhere on the driver's door jamb will be a label that has your tire specs and what the recommended PSIs are. Now, the tire inflation is very important. That is done using an average of what the van build weight was when it was released from the factory and the cargo weight, which generally would be 2 adults and 2 children. So let's say it's 500 pounds. So they take the weight of the van plus 500 pounds. They determine what the ideal air pressure is for the tires that were released on the factory to have an equal wear pattern. It's a suggestion. If you carry more weight than that, whatever value is, I use 500 pounds because 2 adults and 2 children, probably 500 pounds. But if you have a lot more weight than that in your van, 2 things are going to happen. One, your tire wear is not going to be even. And 2, your fuel mileage is going to suck. So I put new tires on it, and the place that put the tires on this is with the van gutted, by the way. With the van gutted, they put new tires on it, and they put the air pressure to the factory specs of 41 psi. Now, every tire on the side of it, see if I can find one that's not like covered up in mud. On the side of your tire, in this area, can you see it? My finger is probably not. Where are we at? Trying to get there. Anyways, on the side of your van, it will say maximum load at a certain psi. Now, that's the maximum air pressure the tire itself can handle with a specific amount of weight. And that specific amount of weight is the total weight of the van divided by 4, because the weight is spread across all 4 tires, right? Now, I'm telling you all this stuff, you have to realize that I'm actually an ASE master technician, and I have a Ford Triple Masters. I know a lot about vehicles. And the reason why I'm telling you this about your tire pressure is because if you build out your van and you added a whole bunch of weight to the back of it, and you're using the factory recommended tire pressure, it is absolutely horribly wrong. Your tires are not going to wear correctly. Your gas mileage is going to suck. And that's how you know your tire pressure is bad. So, how do you know what the correct tire pressure is? There are 2 methods. I'm going to tell you one that's dead on, and I want to tell you one that gets it pretty close. You want to take your van to an asphalt or concrete parking lot, driveway, something to that effect. Now, the first method uses nothing more than eyesight. You're going to look at the flat part of the tire where it meets the asphalt, And you're going to look to see, does it look like it's kind of squatting outward? Does the edge of the tire, this part right here, can you see the edge of the tire when you look down? I can see the edge on mine. If you can't see that edge, your tires are underinflated. You need to add some air to it, somewhere between the factory recommended pressure and the max pressure of the tire. Now, a whole lot more accurate way is a technique that we used to do for other weird vehicles at a dealership. You can actually take some sort of chalk or powder, for instance, rock climbing chalk or talcum powder you put on your body. You're going to go to the front of the vehicle on the ground, see if I can get this where you can see it, and you're going to put chalk or talcum powder the full width of the tire, maybe an inch wider, in a spot about 6 or 8 inches long. So 6 or 8 inches from here to here, and an inch wider than the tire on either side. Just needs to be a thin amount, don't have to be a lot. You're going to do that on all 4 tires. Then you're going to drive your van over top of that chalk, and you're going to look at the pattern of the tire in the chalk. And you want to inflate the tires. You're going to have to do this numerous times, by the way. That's why I think the eyeball method is probably the easiest for most people. But using the chalk method is very accurate. It's almost scientific. It is scientific. So you're going to drive the van over it. You're going to look at the wear pattern in the chalk. It should be equal all the way across. If any of it is, let's say that the edge of it is shallower, then your tire is underinflated. If the edge of it is deeper, then your tire is overinflated. So you want the thickness, and it's going to be really hard. We're not talking like a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 an inch difference. We're talking very small amounts. You almost need a depth gauge to determine it. But you can also determine that by eyeball also. An easy way to do it with the chalk is to run over it, take a picture of your cell phone of the tread pattern, add 2 psi air to it, do a second test, take a picture with your phone, do it a 3rd time after adding 2 more psi air pressure to your tires. This would be above the vehicle recommended air pressure. So if it's a 41 is what the manufacturer recommends, you do the first test at 41, you do the second one at 43, you do the 3rd one at 45. What you're going to find is there is going to be a point where it's noticeably different, that it changes. And you want to take that air pressure, subtract 2 psi, and that becomes your new air pressure, customized for the weight of your van. You will also notice that your fuel mileage will drastically increase. So I went with fully weighted, 41 psi, factory recommended, 10 miles to a gallon, to the correct air pressure for the weight of this van, which is actually 48 psi. And now I'm getting almost 17 miles to a gallon. So there you go. You figure up what that saves you in money on trips. Hope you enjoyed. This is an original tip. And you wait and see. There's going to be 700 other VanLife channels all come up with a story like this too. And they're basically just regurgitating what someone else said. Because that's what all VanLife channels do. If one person posts, this is how to make the best VanLife pizza, 700 VanLife channels all post, this is how to make the best VanLife pizza. I tried to keep my content original. This is definitely original. Hope you enjoyed.